In an industry of icons, Walter set the standard by which all others have been judged. He was there through wars and riots, marches and milestones, calmly telling us what we needed to know.
Good evening.
He was an anchor in every sense of the word. He kind of put things together, made sense of this crazy world around us.
And you're going to do your damnedest to give your very, very best to prove to Walter that you belonged as a correspondent for CBS News.
From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago.
He handled it as a human being first and an anchorman second. And I think in times like that, that's what you want.
Walter Cronkite was the person who connected us all on that day.
Walter became not only everybody's anchorman, he was everybody's minister, priest, and rabbi. He calmed America down.
You really needed a voice of calm and professionalism and accuracy. And America got that on the evening news with Walter Cronkite.
And I think that the day President Kennedy died was the day that television news, as we now know it, was born for all intents and purposes. And Walter Cronkite was a very important part of making it so.
It established that when momentous events occur and the country is deeply shaken, they gather at the television set. That is sort of the national meeting place.
This evening we tell the story of America's biggest civil rights demonstration, how it began, how it went, what it accomplished.
Walter was one of the few people in power positions that got behind that and pushed the story. Walter talked about this movement, the civil rights movement, was not going to go away. That's not just a little minor blip, that this is a great social change.
We have been too often disappointed by the optimism of the American leaders, both in Vietnam and Washington, to have faith any longer in the silver linings they find in the darkest clouds.
And I think it pained him to have to say what he thought about Vietnam. But he also understood how isolating the White House can be and how people can get to the point where they don't hear discordant voices. And he thought he knew what the truth was, and he thought he had an obligation to tell it.
He changed the history of the war overnight because it was, for that time period in general, a young person's protest. And it became everyone else's wrong war at that point.
Here was the most trusted man in America saying this war is not right.
It is remarkable that one anchorman, one reporter, one journalist, whatever, could really affect the political fate of the country. But they didn't call Walter the most trusted man in America for nothing.
The other side of the man is if you see him on a boat, get the other side of him. There's something kind of, he's an explorer on that level. And I think that's why he loves the ocean and being at sea and all of it.
10, 9, ignition sequence start.
Oh, it's terrific. The building's shaking. Look at that rocket go into the clouds at 3,000 feet.
There was no way of holding Walter back on space. Walter Cronkite thought of himself as another astronaut.
Looks like a good flight. Oh, go, baby.
The sheer boyish enthusiasm and the sense of wonder and exploration. Walter would have killed to have been the first civilian, or even the 10th civilian, to go up. He absolutely loved people. I think that quality somehow came through in the broadcast, too, by the way, that there was a real affection for people.
A lot of people wanted him to run for office, and he could have.
America kind of loved him. America had a love affair with Walter Cronkite.
You know why? He was the best newsman. He was just dedicated to news. He really cared about what the news was, and he thought it was important to tell it to the American people. It's that simple.
This is Walter Cronkite. Good night.